Hey, hello and welcome. This is Summer Piha from the Conscious.Classroom certification model. Check us out at cccmodel.com. You're listening to Let's Talk ECE, the place on the internet where we talk tips, tricks, and perspective shifts related to all things early childhood. Join Summer and Rachel in their mindset shifting discussions on common topics in the early childhood world. You'll hear real stories from their time working together as an owner-director pair and how they learn to see things from each other's perspectives over the years. So you can learn how to openly discuss these viewpoints and find common ground within your leadership team. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to season 2 of Let's Talk ECE.
This season is all about tough conversations. That's why today we're going to be talking about communication and conflict and why those two words are not synonymous.
I love it. So there's one of my favorite quotes that I teach on, and the quote is, communication is not conflict. How many of you out there feel like communicating is conflict?
Me.
I know I used to have that same feeling too, and it still does creep in sometimes. And that's why it's really, really important to talk about leadership and the idea of communication being separate from conflict.
I think one of the really important things to do in this is just to really define what conflict is, right? So conflict is when there's an actual issue that two people see opposing views on and are really, really headstrong in their beliefs on those issues. That can create conflict. Communication, when we're talking especially about leadership, and this is at least how I always think about it, is sometimes we have to tell people things that they don't like to hear. Maybe that they need to improve on something. And so we delay that because we don't want it to cause conflict.
Ooh, I have a good one. I have a good one. This was clear back when I was teaching. A boss of mine came to me and he was really nervous. He was really, really nervous. And he's like, Summer, I have to talk to you. I have to talk to you about something. And that automatically made me start to internally panic because I was like, why is my boss going to talk to me? What's my boss going to talk to me about? And he said, hey, the outside of your door is really dusty. Can you clean it? And in my mind, I was like, well, I thought I was going to lose my job, but you just want me to dust my door? Cool. And he said, I've been meaning and wanting to tell you that for like 3 months, but I've been really nervous to tell you. To dust my door? You've been nervous to tell me to dust my door? Like that's what's keeping you up at night? And I think in his mind, he had the communication and conflict as one. Whereas realistically, okay, I took a cloth and I dusted my door. My door was either propped open with me standing in front of it or closed with me on the inside. I literally never looked at the back of the door. So I wouldn't know how to improve and get better had I not had that feedback, right?
Yeah.
And so think about what are the topics that you're doing and bringing up in your everyday life that you're confusing communication with conflict.
I love that. I think that's such a good way to put that. And I think about it all the time, especially anytime you have to correct somebody's actions, anytime you have to address like a violation of of like one of your policies. And I think the other thing there that happens is we confuse and make the assumption that people remember and know all of our policies, right? And we're like, they are purposefully being defiant, and that's why they're wearing this shirt that doesn't have wide enough or whatever. And usually it's because people are like, oh, I was handed a handbook that I didn't actually read, didn't really know this was the policy. Cool. And then you can move on.
I was going to say, or we crammed 8 hours of orientation into 4 because we needed them in ratio. And we're like, well, I said it out loud, you should know. Well, guess what? People are human. They don't know.
I don't know.
And so part of our job as leaders is to make sure that we're training, continuous training, opening up lines of communication and creating a culture where people feel comfortable talking.
And I think that's such an important one. And I'd actually love for you to share, there's a story that you have about a teacher coming in and being like, this other teacher can't talk to me like this. We're talking about having, somebody came in because they got redirected. They're like, hey, you can't talk to children. Like
Yes.
that.
Well,
And
I think it's all part of building your culture. So part of our school culture was, hey, we hold each other accountable and we never raise our voice at children. That was just who we were as a program, who we are as a program. And a new hire had come in from a big box store, big box childcare center, and started to raise her voice at the children. And another staff member had corrected her and said, we don't do that here. She took offense to that. She came into the office and she was mad. And she was like, how dare she? She's not my boss. She's not my supervisor. She can't speak to me this way. And I said, whoa, take a step back. Number one, we all hold each other accountable here because our goal is to get better. Our goal, it's not to get into trouble. I'm going to say something super controversial. I don't actually believe in write-ups. Sorry, I don't believe in making more work for myself. I don't believe in write-ups. I believe in growing and educating. I'm a teacher through and through. That is who I am in my soul. So there's a time and a place for a write-up, and this was not it, right? And so I'm like, hey, in our school, it's all about growing our skills in our career. And your colleague was helping you grow by letting you know what we do here and what we don't do.
And I think that's so important. And from that, it became part of our orientation. Like we talked about how there are expectations that everybody holds each other accountable in kind ways, in firm ways, in reasonable ways, but that there's that back and forth communication, right? I can't be everywhere all at once, and I can't be providing you with feedback, but I want you to continue developing those skills. So the people that have more experience are going to give you that feedback.
Well, and it was such a great culture because that staff member ended up not quitting, and she ended up advancing her career to become lead teacher and is still very near and dear to my heart to this day, right? And so to really think about conflict, it's that wasn't a conflict.
No.
That was a communication.
Yeah. And I think talking about what people's perception of it are, if you are going to start addressing things more directly, I think one of the best things you can do is let people know that you are going to be addressing things, especially if you haven't before. If it comes out of the blue, that can be so alarming, but let them know ahead, like, hey, I want to be more clear about expectations. I'm going to be addressing things. It's not because you're in trouble, but I want to start talking about things in the moment a little bit more, or in one-on-ones, right? Give people that heads up so there's not that immediate level of defensiveness.
Yes. And, I think Rachel said it earlier, coming from a place of curiosity, not judgment as a leader. And I think a lot of times when we jump in with our judgments or with our initial snapshot reactions, it's because we're also operating out of a place of fear or panic. And so in a leadership role, to really take that pause, take that beat, take that deep breath, and come at it with a place of curiosity. Why do you think she used that tone of voice with the children? Tell me more about this. Tell me more about why you're upset that colleague spoke to you about it. Because it was embarrassing. Got it. Well, we can talk to her about not talking in front of the children. We can talk to her about doing it in a more private setting. And we are going to continue to hold each other accountable, right? And so looking at it from that curiosity and empathy instead of snapshot judgment. You use the harsh tone with the children. You don't fit in with our culture. You're out of here.
Or, the opposite. Oh, I don't like that you're here and you're using this harsh tone, but I'm really scared to address it because I don't want to lose you because I don't want to be in ratio.
Right?
Right. So how do you find that middle ground to continue those conversations, not live out of fear? And it is just beginning to have them and letting people know that it's going to happen, and slowly but surely creating that culture and taking accountability yourself, I think, is the other big part of that, is that willingness to accountability.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today as we continue to dive into tough conversations. If you took something great and amazing, any ahas from this conversation, please write it below. And there's a link below for our Tough Conversations guide. We would love for you to have that so you can access it if you have to have any tough conversations. We'll see you next time.
Bye.